Welcome back, and we continue part two with the parish president of Lafourche Parish, Archie Chaisson. Archie, we were talking before the break, and like I said, I was in Lafourche yesterday, and you took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking last night, I wonder if Archie and them could bring equipment in, but then I started thinking, well, it's personal property, and I know there's a gray area, but I think you also alluded or hinted to the fact that if you have a long reach excavator and you're still on parish property, can you reach in there and sort of pull some of that out because it's going to affect the drainage eventually? Is that an option?
Yeah, so we kind of went through that, Martin, and you covered that portion as well when we were in Shoepick back in May, trying to put out these tiger dams. We went through the same type of issue. Is how do we set these things up and cross people's private property? Because at that point, we're no longer on a parish right away. So we kind of used that same scenario when we went to Christine Russell, our district attorney, and said, look, how can we do this? Can I go into their yard and help clean it out? So we drafted up a release that each homeowner is going to have to sign as we walk down those streets. And if they want us to go into their property, we will do the best we can to try to get it out of their main yard. I still haven't quite figured out how we go under their houses or in their sheds, and I don't think we go that far with it, but at least the part in their yard that's open green space, we should be able to help them out and get most of that. And I've told a lot of the residents who have reached out through social media or by phone, they would say, Archie, how can we help speed this up? And I said, look, if you have access to a tractor or a skid steer or a shovel, the closer you can get it to the ditch, the quicker this is going to be, because then I don't have to worry about putting a bobcat or something on your property and hitting your water meter, and then we got to fix your water service, or I run over your kid's bike that we can't see under the mud because we don't know what's underneath there. So it's going to be tricky. We're going to play it by ear, but again, we've made that commitment to help clean it up as best we can.
You know, that's the perfect example of what happened to the Mississippi and us losing land when we tamed the Mississippi, because when we did it, all that sediment you see in that subdivision in LaRose is what built the whole area.
That's right. That's right, and I'm anxious to see how many people actually try to chop it up and just let grass grow and get an extra 6 inches out of their property. We've made some calls. We got some questions about whether or not it was toxic. I really don't think it's toxic. I think it's just marsh mud with the smell back there. I know is bad. I think that's just the organic material in it that's decomposing, that's making it smell that way. Because if you've ever crawled through the marsh when you're duck hunting or fall on a boat for whatever reason, it's got a smell to it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's truly what it is. I really don't think it's toxic. But we passed it up to DEQ to try to have them come down and do some sampling and make sure that there is no toxicity to it. And that, I think, is going to make the residents back there feel better. But again, may make it worth the while to leave it in their yard and pick up 6 or 8 inches of new elevation that they didn't have before.
Yeah, and I was happy to see, because we went there by chance. Somebody told us you need to go to this subdivision, and we did. But when we got there, you had a lot of debris trucks and you had a lot of pump trucks. So I guess y'all were Johnny on the spot, and a lot of people, I guess some of the residents said they were on their own for 3 or 4 days, but you can't get in that subdivision hardly now. I can imagine right after the storm, it was impossible to maneuver in there.
Yeah, and like I said, Martin, it took us a good 4 or 5 days to just get the water out.
Right.
So we could see what was going on, much less power lines and stuff that had shifted. It made it very difficult up until, even last week we were fighting the low-hanging power and cable lines with the larger back trucks that we had in there because they were having trouble getting underneath it. But now that that's all stood up, now that they're back on, I think they're back on hard power there. They should be. Now that that's all straightened up, you have people gutting their houses, throwing stuff away that might have gotten wet or contaminated with the mud. So we have debris trucks. We have 5 vacuum trucks back there as we speak on this Friday doing that work. And again, now that we're going to transition to hopefully some more traditional excavation means, we're going to be able to make some progress over the weekend with a private contract, another, our maintenance contractor that we brought in, who's a private contractor, and then our guys who are continuing to work. Look, I'm using it as a segue to thank all of our parish employees who are still busting their butts every day to help get the parish back up and running. These guys are taking time away from their families and their own, in some cases, devastation to continue to clean up other neighborhoods. So, but we're going to continue to work and get it cleaned up.
Yeah, with about 2 minutes left, Archie, I was, as I rode in Lafourche, and as I continue to ride through Terrebonne or Lafourche, and I see the banding of damage. It's like one street just mall dragged. The next one, a little better. Then the next street, same thing. The bands in that hurricane were so tight, but people got to understand when that thing is winding, or unwinding for that matter. There's stronger bands which are only feet away from other bands. So you can absolutely see that in some of the damage path.
Yeah, no doubt. And I saw it in my own neighborhood, and you will drive to South Lafourche, and you will see, a house that is completely devastated, and the house next door is only missing a shingle. I mean, it's crazy how these winds work, and the straight line winds, the sporadic tornadoes that I think we had, because you can see certain pockets of lines where something had to have gone through there that was more than just a straight line wind. But again, I have no doubt that this thing's going to be a Category 5 by the time they're all said and done, pulling the data from Chet's tenants down in Fouchon that they were able to provide. But yeah, it's one, amazing how Mother Nature works, but just another thing to see it where, again, one house is devastated, or an entire street is devastated on the north side, and the houses across the street are barely have a shingle missing. So we're going to, it's crazy.
Well, Archie, we appreciate your time. We'll continue to get updates from you, and we'll continue to, we have Terrebonne spots that we're out in. We have Lafourche spots that we're out in, and a lot of people want us to show their neighborhood. It would take probably 150 crews to get to every neighborhood, so that's why we use a lot of drone footage. But we appreciate your efforts. Keep up the great work, and it's just everybody keep thinking positive. One step ahead every day, and we just keep moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt. The message is hope, Martin. We're going to put it all back together.
All right. Thank you, Archie. We appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks.
All right. Once again, the parish president of Lafourche Parish, Archie Chaisson, and we're going to take a break, come back, have more public officials on to talk about their areas.